Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of The Real Meat Expletives. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
This is episode 88. Basically our Super Bowl reaction, but not to the sports ball, to all of the important movie trailers and TV trailers there were. And holy fuck, there were a lot of movie and TV show trailers this year.
That felt like, it's probably not, but it felt like the most I'd seen yet, as far as on Super Bowl spots.
Well,
like that's the world we live in now, dude. The nerds have taken over sports ball.
What was interesting too is one of the reasons I think there were so many was because for the first time since I can remember ever watching it, for whatever reason, I don't know if there were behind the scenes issues between them and Fox, but Pepsi and Doritos refused to do commercials this year, and I don't know why.
Huh.
They pulled out because usually those are two of the most notable ones every year, like two of the ones you can actually kind of count on usually. And for whatever reason,
not only that, Doritos and Pepsi, it's usually one of those that win like the #1 spot on all those shows that count down the best Super Bowl ads and stuff. Usually to the Doritos or Pepsi.
Yeah, and then they sent out some kind of bullshit non-answer when people asked them about why they didn't put out Super Bowl commercials. But yeah, there were a lot, so we're not going to spend too much time on each one. We just want to make sure we hit the main ones. I skipped a few of them later on, stuff that we've already talked about numerous times, like Logan. We're watching fucking Logan opening day.
We can do a whole podcast just on that Logan trailer.
Yeah, absolutely. But first, before we get to the Super Bowl stuff, we had one little bit of movie news to get to. We saw our first images of Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft on the set of Tomb Raider, which, by the way, did you have any idea they were filming that soon?
I had not heard anything about filming.
That thing has been in development hell for so long. When I saw set photos, I was like, holy shit, it's actually happening.
Yeah, that was pretty stunning when you sent me that, because I had not heard a goddamn thing. Like you said, they had gone through so many different everything. Like, it didn't even feel like they had a script yet, really. And the next thing you know, we have set photos. And
I thought, especially her in the costume, like the costume straight up out of the new games.
Oh, yes.
She looks like she was just plopped right out of the video game onto the TVs on the movie screen.
That's exactly what I was going to say, dude. They freaking nailed costume design. I mean, I get that it's a tank top and pants and stuff, but I mean, down to the wear and tear on the clothing.
Yeah.
And how dirty she is. And
it even looks exactly like it is in the game, because it looks like, in the game she progressively gets more fucked up and more dirty. Yeah. It looks like hour 4 or 5 of the game, so I'm curious if they actually have that happen throughout the movie. Like they actually have that attention to detail with their costume getting progressively dirtier. I bet they do. I think she looks great in the role. I think she looks just like the game character from the new games.
Yeah, she looks just like her. So, yeah, no, I'm still pretty excited for that.
Yeah, between her and Walton Goggins, and yeah, I'm really hoping they finally have a good goddamn video game movie that actually makes money. I think that one has a strong chance. Like, we talked at Warcraft and fucking Assassin's Creed for so long. I'm actually having some pretty good thoughts about that one going into.
They finally picked a game to make a movie on that's basically already a movie.
True.
So it took them this long, but finally.
Yeah, you can find those pictures pretty much anywhere. I found them on Collider, but yeah, there were quite a few of them, and I'm actually looking forward to that one. The movie is slated for release on March 16th of 2018, so just a little over a year.
There's probably going to be certain parts of the movie that when I'm sitting there in the audience, I probably just can't help but yell, "Wiggle, wiggle, 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 wiggle!" Oh my God, square!
You fucked up your quick time, Alicia Vikander. All right, let's hit the gauntlet. Let's do all the Super Bowl movie trailers. How about that, Ron?
Okay.
Your thoughts. First one up: Pirates of the Caribbean 5,000 Dead Men Tell No Tales. What did you think of that one?
I'm fine with the visuals. To me, the song was random and didn't fit.
Yeah, and I like the song.
I like the song.
Right. It just it felt kind of, let's put Johnny Cash on here. It was a Johnny Cash song, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It's just like, hey, Johnny Cash songs are cool on trailers. Let's just pick one.
I don't get it. I really don't get movie trailers and music choices these days.
If it's not going to fit...
That is one of the best scores that they have. That's around is Pirates.
Exactly.
Just use your own damn score.
If it's not going to fit, why would you go out of your way to pay for the licensing for it?
Yeah. So that aside, I thought it looked pretty damn good, especially that part where they're like running across the top of the water.
Yeah.
But
I like all. I mean, obviously Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush are back, but Javier Bardem as like the. Have they said what the name of his character is?
I don't believe so.
Javier Bardem's always good. He's a good choice for it. He fits kind of their mold.
I thought I saw Legolas in there too.
Yeah, they're supposed to be. Now, are they having just him back, or were they planning on having him and Keira Knightley back?
I do not know. She was not in the spot. I know that. And she wasn't in the trailer either.
They've never been like. I mean, I have kind of an iffy reaction to this trailer just because I fucking love the first movie so much, and after that, I can kind of take or leave the rest of them, especially the third and fourth one. The third one, they made everyone assholes to each other. They almost made everyone unlikable to the point.
So you actually like the second one? Because most people don't like the second and third.
The second, I don't know. I go back and forth. Honestly, I love the first one, and the rest of them I'm just not that crazy about. But my problem with the third one is that pretty much everyone was an asshole. It's almost like they went out of their way to make the characters unlikable. And then my problem with the newest one, where they tried to feature Johnny Depp more, and they had was it Penelope Cruz as the female lead?
Yes.
The movie was just boring. It's like for a
Yeah.
movie with pirates, there wasn't much going on. It was kind of slow.
Yeah.
So I like what I'm seeing as far as them featuring more of Jeffrey Rush and Johnny Depp again. Them announcing that at least Orlando Bloom and maybe Keira Knightley coming back doesn't really do anything for me because as far as I was concerned, I was done with their characters after the first and second.
They're my least favorite parts of the first one. So
I don't know. I mean, I will be checking it out. It's not something I'm going to be rushing out in theaters to see.
my concern when I saw what they were doing with the villains was how are they going to make it different from the first one? Because they basically already taken on ghosts more or less. But I mean, it looks like they're doing some pretty cool stuff with it in the trailer.
Visually, it's going to be it's going to be at least cool to look at. And then, like you said, the score.
Yeah.
It's all what's his face doing the score. Not John Williams. Who's the other awesome guy? There's two names I have to remember, and I already remembered one of them. I already fucked up one of them.
I can't fucking remember who did the Pirates.
Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
It's fucking Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll wait. So is that one you're gonna see in theaters or wait?
I mean, if I get the chance, I will. If there's other stuff out, because I don't get many opportunities to go out now. I have to prioritize. If there's other stuff out, then maybe not. I don't know.
For me, it's like a $5 Tuesday. That's what I would equate it to. It's like a $5 Tuesday maybe. After I've already watched the other $5 Tuesday movies, I want to see more.
Right.
All right. Next up, we have Fast 8. I'm losing track of how many fucking different names they've called this before. So it's been called Fast 8. It's been called Fate of the Furious. It's been called Fate of the Furious with just F8 because they're fucking clever. And I see what they did there. These movies only exist now to make money. They don't care. It gets more ridiculous and more ridiculous every time. Now sometimes it works out and it's cool, but these are not good movies anymore in my opinion. I don't think they're honestly trying.
My issue with this trailer, more than anything, is that it looked like Turbo, a Power Rangers movie.
They keep trying to one-up themselves every edition.
Right.
To the point, eventually they're gonna be in fucking mech suits, and it's gonna be like a Power Rangers movie. Like that's the only way. That's like the only logical next
think
step.
about it. Well, I mean, hold on. Just think about it. They're in cars, driving around fighting the villain who's in a fucking submarine. That's Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. That's the entire plot of that movie.
It's just how many more things can you think of to use cars for?
Yeah.
It's just now.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with that part of it because I mean, those movies only exist for like the action and to be high octane and stuff. So,
but that's the thing. The
people
best
don't go to
movie-
see them for the plot, you know.
But that's the thing. The first movie is a legitimately good movie. They didn't have to make them superheroes.
Which is shocking because
ridiculous.
even when I rewatch it today, I don't watch it for the plot. So,
well, no. Here's what I'm saying. In the first movie, they are normal dudes. Now
yes,
they are fucking Marvel Avengers characters. Basically, they are like
pretty much.
in the last movie or the second to last movie. I forget. But you're a few behind too. You've missed out on just how fucking batshit insane they've gotten. There's at one point where they're on two expressways that are next to each other, right? Vin Diesel's like riding on the hood of his car. He crashes his car on the edge of the inner part of the opposite expressway, like 300 feet in the air, to propel himself like 100 feet to catch a person out of the air and then land on top of another moving vehicle. They're superheroes now.
That's not any more ridiculous than what Transporter did.
Well, no, I'm not talking about within the franchise. It's like
I
Fast
know.
and the Furious. To me, it's kind of upsetting that they used to just be normal dudes making good, racing movies, and now they're just fucking superheroes. Like
maybe I just never took them that seriously to begin with, but it doesn't really bother me that aspect.
I think the trajectory of now some of them are fun. Like two of my favorite movies in the series are 5 and 7, which are two of the more ridiculous ones, maybe the most ridiculous ones. But it makes me sad that they feel the need to top themselves every time. Just make a good movie. Quit trying to top yourself with stunts and just try to make a better movie.
I think it's more obvious with the way that they do their sequels, but I mean, technically speaking, every sequel does the same thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't always involve.
They just go to the nth degree every time.
It doesn't involve fucking. They're out in the middle of like the Antarctic with submarines fighting tanks and shit. It's like, it's a little insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, none of that part bothers me with them. Just because I mean, even the first one does have is a legitimate movie. It's a good movie, and it surprisingly had a legit plot and everything. But even today, when I rewatch it, I don't watch it for the plot. I never have watched any of those movies for the plot.
I do think you need to watch 6 and 7 though to actually get what I'm talking about. They have lost their goddamn monkey minds. It's not a bad thing necessarily. I am worried about their trajectory going forward when they get to because they want to at least make 2 more of these to have 10 fucking Fast and the Furious movies, and then they want to do spin-offs. So it's getting a little
You say
insane.
you're worried, but you're really not because you're not watching them anyway.
No, well, I've seen all of them, and I've seen actually more.
Have you really?
I've seen all of them, yeah.
I'm stunned because you get pissed off every time they come out with the new one.
The last one was actually probably after the first one the best genuinely good movie, just because
Here's what confused me in the trailer more than anything, other than it being Turbo Power Rangers movie. Why is it at the beginning of this is just the TV spot, not even the full trailer? Why is it at the beginning of the spot The Rock is out to get them, and then later in the spot he's their buddy?
Okay, well, the way it's always been so far is, first of all, The Rock was almost like a bad guy because he was the cop going after them all. Then he became a good guy.
Last one I saw.
Then he became a good guy. And to answer your question, I don't know, because this movie's a little all over the place. Because in the last movie, Vin Diesel wasn't a bad guy, and he's like one of the main bad guys in this one, it looks like.
How do you define good guy and bad guy?
Do what?
How do you define good guy and bad guy in the franchise? Because technically, the quote-unquote good guys have pretty much always been the bad guys.
Oh, okay.
You're confusing me.
I need to. Okay, I'm gonna quit saying bad guys and just basically say antagonist of the story.
Okay.
Like The Rock was an antagonist to the quote unquote fucking family, which they couldn't help themselves but dropped that shit in the first line of the trailers. Like, you don't turn your back on family. Like they're making fun of themselves now with their own memes that have become of the franchise. But I liked Charlize Theron. I like her in pretty much everything. I think she'll be a good villain. If she'll have a character actually worth her time, I don't know. But because that was my problem with Statham's villain, is that Statham is pretty cool seeing him as a bad guy for the first time in a long time, if maybe ever. I can't remember another thing he's been a villain in off the top of my head, but he really had nothing to do
like I said, depending on how you look at it, technically in the Transporter he's a villain.
Well, antagonists.
Okay.
For the context, because like the good guys of Fast and the Furious are, they were always the Paul Walker and Vin Diesel crew. Like they were the good guys you follow behind in the movie.
Right, but they're also like killing people and hijacking trucks and everything else. So they're not exactly good guys.
I don't know. I'll end up watching it. It's not something that I'm gonna run out to see. The last few movies I've watched them way after the fact on like Blu-ray, so I'll probably wait and watch.
Why do these movies never hit Netflix? I've never seen any one of these on Netflix.
Probably because they make so much money, people buying them, they don't need to.
Because that's kind of what I've been waiting for in the last few, and I've never seen it happen.
I always Redbox them.
See, I have to leave my house for that.
Fuck that.
And now leaving my house includes loading up the twins, getting them in the car. And before I do any of that, I've got to feed them and clean them up and change their diaper. And it's just, Redbox doesn't happen.
Yep. Well, you can always go and rent them on like Amazon or iTunes.
Yeah, but to do that is usually like $5. If I can Redbox it for $1, I'm not going to do that.
Well, if you're, it's either from the convenience of your own home for $5 or not at all because you're not leaving the house.
Or it can either hit Amazon Prime or Netflix, and I can just fucking stream it like everyone else in the goddamn 21st century.
Well, not Fast and the Furious, apparently. We need to start going through these a little bit quicker. I want to have time to go through all the TV stuff, too. Next up, Baywatch with one of the best trailers of the Super Bowl.
Best trailers, period.
It is so crazy to me how everyone who has an online presence has basically gone the same way about this movie. It's like, man, fuck that movie. Why the fuck are they making Baywatch? And then every time you see more about it, it's like, I want to watch Baywatch right now.
It's going to end up being one of my favorite movies of the year.
The spots, and by the way, all of these spots you can find on YouTube. They're all over the place. But the Baywatch one, my favorite part is where Efron is wearing like the Speedo with the American flag on it, and he's just like, what the hell are you wearing? Freedom. That's desecration.
Yes.
It looks fucking hilarious, and the other best part too is I love how they're making fun of their own tropes, because it's just like, why does she always look like she's running in slow-mo? Oh, you see that too?
Yeah.
Baywatch looks like, to your point, I think it's going to end up being one of the funniest movies of the year.
Why do your balls sound like 12-year-old girls?
I want to watch. I can't believe I'm saying this, but like Baywatch is one of the movies I'm most looking forward to this year, I think.
I know, it really is. And that is not something I saw coming at all, which I think helped it, to be honest. I think that's what helps it.
I agree. Next up, I don't know how much time you want to spend talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because the first one was just so awful.
We could do an entire podcast on that original trailer that came out. Thankfully, the spot didn't have too much more footage. But after what they did in that first trailer, I'm done with their trailers and spots after this.
I agree. I actually thought their Super Bowl spot was kind of weak, because it was really almost like.
Well, they already gave away what's probably the best joke in the movie, so they're probably holding themselves back now.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I agree with you. I would prefer not see all the best shit, but just as far as how, because I hold them to a high standard when it comes to trailers, because their original trailers for the first movie were so good. The first spot in a teaser we saw with the tape and Baby Groot and Rocket and all them was great. So this one just existed to remind you that this movie is coming out, and that's fine. It's just as far as the context of the teaser itself, it wasn't one of the better ones in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we're gonna see it anyway.
It doesn't fucking matter. And that's all we really need to say. Speaking of doesn't really fucking matter, Transformers 5.
They're still making these.
Anthony Hopkins needs to get paid. So I told you this after I first saw it. I bet you Anthony Hopkins is in that movie for 10 minutes, and I bet you he got paid more than the rest of the cast combined.
I think he's going to get Bryan Cranston. I think Optimus is going to step on him.
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Apparently, this is the first movie I remember reading in the last couple of weeks. This is the first movie that they ended up using the writer's room for. Do you remember that crazy-ass writer's room with the guys from Ant-Man and the guys from Iron Man? And
I'm just shocked to find out that they've been using writers.
Well, this was apparently the first time because this is the first movie they actually had a writer's room, other than Michael Bay just in a fucking closet with his Rock'em Sock'em Robots and toys going like the fucking South Park episode. But yeah, it's Michael Bay. It's gonna be bad. I don't know what else to tell you. It's still gonna make some decent money. I just hope to God, please, for the love of God. He said this last week. He was done. For the love of God, walk away.
I know it won't. I want it to, but I would just wish that franchise would die with him when he walks away.
Well, I think once he does walk away, it's gonna be a soft reboot. It's probably gonna look the same as far as the special effects are concerned, but you're not gonna see Marky Mark back. You're not gonna see any. I don't think you're gonna see anything carry over.
Well, no, I think they'll carry over what they've done with the actual Transformers. I think they'll just have different humans in place, which makes me sad because I know that there's a pissed off fan out there with writing ability that has a perfectly good script waiting for the day this shit gets rebooted, and it's gonna keep going like Fast and Furious. It's just never gonna stop.
Dude, if Del Toro isn't gonna be doing Pacific Rim anymore, give fucking Del Toro Transformers. You know he can do robots.
The day that news hits my Twitter feed, I will just instantly orgasm. But until then, I just have wet dreams about it.
Just get someone else who actually gives a shit about. I swear to you, he has done now 5 Transformers. I bet you the extent of his research, Michael Bay. I bet you the extent of his research into Transformers has been the Wikipedia page, if even that.
He hasn't even done that. He has interns for that. They get his coffee and check Wikipedia and his Twitter feed, and that is it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, let's talk about a good movie now.
One that looks like it might be that way is Life. It is the Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal led movie, and they have some really good supporting actors in it, too. This is shaping up to be one of the better sci-fi movies, I think, of the last few years, because if it carries on like the intensity of the trailer, I think it'll be pretty fucking good.
It looks like it's going to be really good. I mean, it's got the original trailer for it's really strong. That TV spot, to the best of my memory, seemed like a lot of scenes from the trailer, so they're kind of locking it down a little bit, which I like.
And all the scenes we've seen appear like they've been in like the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and it looks atmospheric as fuck, which I appreciate. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all over this movie, man.
It's a little bit like half Martian, half alien, almost.
It seems like it's got an Alien and Sunshine vibe to it.
I can see that too. If you haven't seen Sunshine, go watch Sunshine. It's such a great fucking movie.
I remember so many people making fun of the plot when they revealed it in the trailer, and I'm just like, guys, Sunshine is an amazing movie. I don't care what you think of it. You have to see it.
So good.
But yeah, no, Life, I am all over that movie when it comes out.
I agree. That is one I will be watching in the theater. Another one I'm probably going to be watching is I actually like what I'm seeing from Ghost in the Shell. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it looks cool.
Visually, it is stunning.
Visually, it's stunning.
It is absolutely worth the full price of ticket admission for me personally because I love the style and cinematography of it.
Yeah, no, it looks like it's done really well. I'm curious to know exactly how well they've adapted the plot and everything, but yeah, I mean, it looks like it's shaping up to be pretty cool.
Can I borrow your set of it? Because I actually want to watch it before I watch the movie.
When's the movie come out?
I think next month. I think it's a March release.
Okay. I'm planning to burn through it myself real quick, and then I'll have it for you here in a few days.
You take your fucking turn. I call dibs on your Blu-rays, damn it, or DVDs, whatever you have it on. Yeah. I think it's going to be a good movie, and I think it's simultaneously going to piss off a whole lot of anime fans because I think
it will too.
I don't think it's going to be anything. But
I've already seen some weird shit in the trailer. That I'm just kind of like, I don't remember that, but
it looks like it's a good movie.
It looks like they fucking nailed my favorite character, so I don't care. Costume-wise, they fucking nailed him.
As long as it's a good movie, I think that's. I mean, shit. That's all we can really ask for anymore.
Yeah.
Just don't make it bad. Just don't make it bad. Yeah, that was a wrap for all of the movies. Let's talk about some TV spots they had for it too. And if you want to know how fucking big a deal Stranger Things is, the reaction to Stranger Things was probably even bigger than all of the movies as far as an online reaction.
Dude, that is the next thing I'm burning through on Netflix.
You want to talk about an atmospheric teaser spot? When you see that giant creature thing in the background, you're just like,
They did that Cloverfield style too, and like, I've never seen season 1. It's been in my watch list since it came out. I've heard nothing but good things, and everything though that I've ever seen for it just looks like a bunch of. It's like that '70s show, but that '80s show. That's the only thing I've ever seen or heard about it. Dude, there's like fucking monsters and shit.
When I originally was selling it to you, I told you it was half a Spielberg movie and half a John Carpenter movie. Like, what else does John Carpenter do?
Everything that I've seen was all the Spielberg side of it.
Well, that was because it was a spoiler going into it. You didn't know what you were in for.
But yeah, no, dude, that's the next fucking thing I am burning.
It's only 8 episodes. You'll watch it in a day. I watched all 8 episodes in 2 sittings over the course of like the first day and a half it was out. It's pretty damn good. Now, my problem with Stranger Things is, to your point, people will not shut their fucking mouth about it, to the point to where it was actually one of my honorable mentions, and what pushed it out was goddamn Collider and Nerdist not shutting their fucking faces about Stranger Things.
What's funny is it came out and then I forgot about it because you're the only person I know that's seen it, and I've never heard you talk about it. I've only seen stuff on Twitter and like advertisements and stuff.
Every single person I know has seen this show. I'm stunned that you don't know more people.
When back when I had a job, if I mentioned it, no one knew what I was talking about. It's set in the '80s, so my dad will never watch it. So
it was such a big deal. It got a fucking Super Bowl ad. That's how confident Netflix is in it. It's just insane. It's insane. It came out of fucking nowhere. Like, people didn't even know what it was.
But yeah, since you don't talk about it, I've never heard anyone talk about it.
I think you'll really like it. It's like I said, it's half an '80s Spielberg movie, half an '80s John Carpenter movie, which is a pretty fucking good combination to me. And they actually did a good job finding kid actors. The kid actors are actually really good. Kid actors will ruin a movie or TV show for me quicker than anything.
Yes.
Because, good God, they can be. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace is all you need to know. So yeah, we'll talk about Stranger Things more once you get to watch it, because I have a feeling once you start it, you'll finish it within like 2 days.
Cool.
Let's see, next up, The Handmaid's Tale. This is a Hulu original.
I don't get it. What is it?
So this is something that is up my alley that I didn't even know existed. This is an '80s sci-fi dystopian novel.
That's not what I get from it.
Basically, when you watch this, it's a futuristic setting where technology is reverted because of Big Brother. Basically, they are intentionally setting up, like, from my understanding, is like the government has actually intentionally set up everyone into roles as if it's back in like the 1700s and shit, to keep them.
All the ads that Hulu gives to me when I'm watching Hulu, plus that, it reminds me of just like, I don't know, some like a period piece that nothing happens in.
But that's the point. Is there?
I don't get sci-fi and I don't get dystopian.
It's I think that's going to be part of the mystery behind it, is seeing what they unveil. The last Hulu show I watched, I really recommend 11/22/63. I really liked it. The Path I thought was a solid show, but I quit because it's just not my type of show. But from what I've seen from Hulu's original stuff, it's not as good as Netflix's, but it's pretty strong. So
I think the one I want to see is Shut Eye or something like that.
Yeah, that's with
Jeffrey Donovan,
with the gypsies and everything in it.
Yeah.
With the fortune tellers and stuff.
Yeah.
That looks pretty interesting.
That looks pretty solid.
I think it'll be pretty solid too. So Hulu stuff, while not as good as Netflix's, I think is pretty strong considering they're just starting out for the most part.
Yeah.
It premieres on Hulu April 26th, so I think I'll actually be checking it out, at least the first episode. I'm curious about it. The acting behind it looks pretty good too.
I'm still so confused by what I've seen on that show.
I think that's part of the reason behind why they've set it up that way. I think they want people to not know what they're in for when they get to watch it, which I'm okay with. I would rather not know as much about it than know fucking everything.
Yeah, but at least show me something that gets me interested. Because every time I see that, I'm just kind of like, and don't stop paying attention.
It was pretty intriguing to me. I'm gonna be watching it. Something that we're both going to be watching as soon as it hits Netflix at 2 o'clock in the morning is this is not a Super Bowl ad. This is after the fact. So we were wrapped up on Super Bowl 2017, much to the chagrin of Ron, I'm sure. Iron fucking Fist, dude. How awesome is that Iron Fist trailer?
Shit. I mean, granted, they just recycled the plot of Iron Man, but what I've seen so far, I am all fucking over it. I don't even care.
You thought Iron Man. To me, it's Batman Begins to a T.
To me, it's Batman Begins and Iron Man. I mean, he comes home. He's got to take over his father's company again. He's like locked out. The villain's in charge of his company.
I never really realized it, but Iron Man and Batman Begins are very similar plot-wise, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Dude, he even has the press conference scene at the podium. They show in the trailer, just like Iron Man. All I see is Iron Man.
Here's the thing. That is not them being unoriginal. They are following the original comic character's origins.
Oh, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing.
I'm not calling you out on it either. I'm just saying, like, anyone online...
At this point, Marvel's going to have to start recycling plot lines anyway. They've pretty much used them all.
For me, this looks to be Batman Begins / Iron Man with well-filmed fucking mystical kung fu action, and yes, bitch, give it to me now, because holy shit, I think it's gonna be good.
Evidently, there's more to Iron Fist than what I thought. I know jack shit about the character, but he's like blowing shit up and everything.
That last scene where he eviscerates that room.
Dude.
Yeah, give it to me now. The full season will hit on March 17th. By March 18th, I will have all 13 episodes watched and a review ready to go.
Same.
All right, we got one more trailer to get through, and then we are on to our discussion for the day. Speaking of badass mystical kung fu, Samurai fucking Jack season 5, Ron.
Yes.
How awesome is that? What do you do when you're watching Samurai Jack and blood is all over the screen? Give it to me now. I want it so bad. Apparently they've added one of my personal favorite voice actresses to Grey Delisle, who was Mandy from Billy and Mandy and Azula from Avatar.
Right.
My theory, since she's looking to be the main villain outside of Aku, I think she's gonna end up being like Aku's daughter or something.
Oh yeah.
Because think about it too, like her shrill voice behind it too kind of fits with that too.
Yeah.
It's Adult Swim. It's rated R Samurai Jack basically, and give it to me now. I want it so bad. Did you start Samurai Jack yet?
I haven't been back through it yet. No.
Yeah, it premieres March 11th at 11 p.m. Eastern time on Adult Swim. So
I haven't seen Samurai Jack since it originally aired.
Dude, it's even better than you think it was. It's so good.
I don't remember jack shit. I remember that there may have been a samurai named Jack, and that is about all I remember.
Dude, they put it into this fucking theme song as a line of dialogue.
Yes.
I want it so bad. But yeah, I'm impressed. We actually got through all of the trailers in 30 minutes, even though we took the time to talk about some of them. So, was there anything else you saw as far as like Super Bowl ads or just commercials over the last couple of weeks that I didn't include that you wanted to talk about? Anything I missed?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. There wasn't really, other than the Super Bowl ads, much to talk about that I saw.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the only ones I didn't include were like stuff like that was pretty like Logan. We're obviously excited for Logan. Well, let's get on to our discussion of the week, Ron. Why don't you lead us in, because this was your idea for a topic.
I was literally crawling into bed when it suddenly hit me that one of the complaints you and I have had about a lot of stuff in recent years is nothing takes the time to set up like any kind of atmosphere or mood in a movie anymore, and how incredibly important a tool that can be when you're making a movie. I mean, there's no words to describe what that can do for the moviegoer's experience. And the reason this popped into my head is I just finished watching all 4 Alien movies in the box set that I have. And 3 and 4 try really hard to set up an atmosphere, but 1 and 2,
One
especially,
1 for sure.
well, here's what surprised me about Aliens. It changed directors, right, from Ridley Scott to James Cameron, and the director, while they're creatively not as powerful as most people think they are in a movie, they are the ones, for the large part, in my opinion, that set the tone, because they take the place of the audience when the movie's being filmed.
Well, the thing is there's a juxtaposition between movies and TV. It's because
Right.
in movies, directors do have a really strong portion of control, because when you have a movie, the studio has spearheaded it behind the name of the director usually. When it comes to TV, that's when you hear people like Kevin Smith go on and say, like, well, you can go on and direct an episode of The Flash and not really do much, because television networks, they spearhead the writer's room as the heart and soul of the project. So
Right.
it just depends on how big of a name your director is.
Right. But I mean, a lot of people blame the directors for costume designs and script and
That's true.
and shit like that, when for the most part they are the tone and the visual side of it, because what you are seeing was the director's job. Right? They take the place of the audience. They're in charge of what the audience is seeing when it's being filmed. They have to imagine it. But my point is, you change directors, so your movie changes tone with that usually, which Alien and Aliens does. But what's interesting is the atmosphere that Aliens creates is very similar to the atmosphere that Alien creates. That's pretty difficult to do.
It's just it keeps the atmosphere, but it switches it from being horror based to intensity based. Like, it's more tense instead of it, because like Alien, they're more scary.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they just have the one xenomorph from the first one. It's like the xenomorph is more terrifying, and it's more of a menace. Yes. And then with Aliens, it's just like, it's intense because of their numbers and how fucked they are in that situation.
Pretty much. So, yeah, one thing that is severely lacking in a lot of movies these days, I think, is atmosphere and tone. Because it seems like a lot of movies these days just kind of throw the movie at you. They don't really take the time to set up the air of the movie, is what I'm saying. Because like my best example is Alien, because it's the one that in my mind, it's not a nearly flawless movie. It's pretty much a flawless movie.
I couldn't tell you anything. I have zero issues with Alien. And
like my buddy Steve never makes it past the first 20-30 minutes because he says it's boring.
That's the whole point of the movie.
What he's missing is that they are taking the time to ramp up to the stuff he's wanting to see, because they're taking the time to set the mood. You're getting acclimated to the movie. You're getting acclimated to the characters, to the world that they've created. And when shit starts hitting the fan, sometimes it's hitting the fan before you even know there was shit in the room to hit said fan,
It's in the room.
So, yeah, it's...
Okay. I can trace the downfall of atmosphere to one specific movie.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. Typically, when we're talking atmosphere, the connotation that comes to your mind is horror movies.
Which I think, because I was doing a lot of thinking about that, about like movies that in my head that I can remember that set a good atmosphere. And a lot of them were horror, and the best horror movies do take the time to set up an atmosphere. I think it's most important for horror movies.
I agree 110%.
But it's not only a horror movie thing.
I 110% agree. I want to specifically talk horror for a couple minutes. The movie that officially almost killed the horror movie as a genre was Saw, because Saw made a shit ton of money, and then the entire fucking industry was like, hey, those people will pay a lot of money if we just throw gore up on the screen. Fuck atmosphere, special effects, gore and blood all over your face, neck, and chest.
Murder
that
porn.
was for 12 years.
Is that right?
Saw the first one, I want to say, was like 2001. It lasted a long fucking time. But yeah, torture porn, like you said, horror got replaced with torture porn for at least a decade. It almost killed the genre because people quit trying.
Yeah.
What is scary is Alien. What is scary is The Exorcist.
Oh my God, The Exorcist.
A special effect of someone having their Hostel was a perfect example of just piggybacking off of torture porn. Instead of making a genuine atmospheric horror mood, they just chop people's hands off and shit like that. That's not horror. That is a special effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are just now getting. What's ironic, James Wan was the director of Saw. He kind of killed the horror franchise, but he brought it back too, because some of his later horror movies, once he kind of realized, oh God, what have I done? What have been the last few James Wan horror movies? The Conjuring, nothing but atmosphere. You know, I think he kind of reconciled it because he almost killed it, then he kind of brought it back, because now you're getting more and more movies. What's the one I just sent you earlier today? They come out at night or something like that.
Something like that.
It was a super. I really, really recommend watching the trailer if you can find what I'm talking about. Joel Edgerton was the main actor. You can probably find it by searching for him. But how atmospheric was that fucking trailer? I want to watch that movie.
I don't know what's happening, but they're drawing me in.
Yeah.
If you want to switch away from horror, a suspense thriller movie that comes to mind is Don't Breathe. How atmospheric was Don't Breathe?
Good. Yeah, that's
atmosphere is the only thing to that movie. You know, so yeah, that one. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, because Don't Breathe is kind of horror-ish. It has some horror elements, but it's not a straight-up horror movie. Another one that it makes me think of that's a good point to bring up too is because I think if you can generate atmosphere outside of horror if you focus on claustrophobia. And the one that made me think of is Don't Breathe kind of fits into that, because for the most part the whole movie is inside one house. Yeah. But did you ever see Buried?
No, I did not.
It was the movie with Ryan Reynolds where he has been captured by terrorists in the Middle East. They have buried him alive. The entirety of the film is Ryan Reynolds in a coffin with a phone. And good God, is it atmospheric intense, because
Is it really? Because I saw the trailer for that, laughed, and moved on.
No, it's a fantastic movie.
Is it really?
Ryan Reynolds is great in it, because Ryan Reynolds carries that entire movie by being in a fucking box and just his performance through talking to people on the phone. It's a brilliant movie. And like, you watch this dude in almost real time. You know, he is dying. He is suffocating as he's been buried alive. The movie is just so fucking intense. But yeah, I think claustrophobia is a really, really smart way to generate tension in an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Jaws has fucking atmosphere, because that's the thing too. Jaws is like paradoxical claustrophobia. There's nothing but blue skies and water around them. But as far as they're concerned, their safety is that little bitty fucking boat.
Yeah.
You know, it's very claustrophobic, even though they're out on the ocean.
Alien did the same thing with. There's a fucking monster on board, you know, moving around through the ventilation.
Yeah.
Aliens did the same thing because they had this huge fucking compound, but they're restricted to one side of it. So yeah, I think there is something to that, like you're talking about. I I think one that gets overlooked a little bit also is I think Jurassic Park does a decent job of setting up. It's not the best at setting up atmosphere like everyone else, but they take their time to set up everything, to set up the characters, to get you involved, like you're part of it. And then all of a sudden, when it all goes to shit, you're stuck. It's this island that's this great big island, but they're stuck moving from these little pins to little pins, trapped here and there. They do the fucking kitchen scene with the velociraptors and the kids. Like
another one that comes to my mind too, that is brilliant about creating atmosphere while having some horror elements, but at the end of the day, it's not really a horror movie when you think about it. But The Sixth Sense is very atmospheric, even though at the end of the day, it's not really a horror movie.
Would you say the first Die Hard?
I would say that too. It kind of plays into the claustrophobia. He's stuck in that one building, just trying to make it. Yeah, I would say so. I mentioned it earlier, but The Exorcist is incredibly fucking intense.
Oh man, I need to see that movie again. I haven't seen that movie in ages.
I watched it a couple of years ago. It's almost 50 years old, if not 50 years old. It holds up so well.
Oh, dude, that movie, it's no Alien, but it gets me every time.
Yeah, sure, fucking sure. It kind of ties into like with Jurassic Park. Maybe not so much as like it does. I think another term for what you're saying too is like world building. Is like actually take the time to develop your story instead of just going hog wild.
It's not. Sorry, I just looked up Exorcist. It's not streaming anywhere.
Oh, I'm trying to. Yeah.
Oh well.
I'm actually just scrolling. I've just now Googled horror movies and I'm scrolling through. The Thing. The Thing is.
The Thing was a specific example I came up with earlier, but I didn't write anything down.
Yeah.
The Thing is really good.
That fucking scene with the blood test.
I know. That's what I think of when I think of that movie.
It's so intense, and it's God, now I just want to watch The Thing. We have to go. Yeah. Did you have any other specific examples because I meant to write down a whole lot of examples earlier on, but I just forgot about it.
I meant to too, and then I just kind of ended up with a baby in each arm. So
you had a good excuse. I kind of started John Wick because I'm going to the sequel.
Also a valid excuse.
True that.
Yeah. It's just kind of a lost art, like you said. I agree that it was around the time Saw that just nothing but murder porn started hitting, and we just lost everything. Like, it's a horror movie, particularly, only works when your audience feels invested. And you only get invested when you take the time to set up an air, to set up a world, to set up the atmosphere. And then all of a sudden your audience is in the movie. Dude, I know I keep jumping back to it, but it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's the perfect example of everything I'm talking about. But Alien, I don't feel like I'm watching a movie. I feel like I'm the guy standing in the corner of the room watching all of this happen, like I'm part of it. The way that you want to know
a current example that after James Wan, it might have even been, I'm trying to remember what year it happened, but the first Sinister.
I was about to say Sinister is what you're going to go to.
Is incredibly atmospheric, and they were actually trying to make a movie that that racked your nerves. They weren't trying to scare you in the same sense that most modern horror movies are. They were just trying to make an atmospheric fucking movie, and they did it so well.
So horror movies don't do much for me because of Alien. I've told this story before. I was 10 years old or whatever, snuck out, watched it, scared the shit out of me, blew a fuse, and horror movies have no effect on me hardly anymore. But the first Alien still gets me every time. You brought Sinister over to my house, and I was curled up in a little ball on my couch.
Yeah, because once it was announced that Derrickson and Cargill were going to be doing Doctor Strange, I was like, you have no idea how perfect they are for it until you watch Sinister and you realize how talented they are at creating a mood and world building and letting you get invested.
How many times did I ask you to turn the movie off during Sinister? And you did not because you're an asshole.
It is. You're welcome. It is in my opinion, out of horror movies that have come out since the turn of the century, I think it is probably the strongest horror movie I've seen. For what I like in a horror movie, and what it sounds like you like too. Is
Yeah, it because honestly, I don't give a shit unless there's an atmosphere to it, because that's when I feel like I am part of the movie. I felt like I was in their house in Sinister. I didn't feel like I was sitting there watching it, on my TV.
I think it also helps too if you're smart about actually making people give a shit about your characters.
Yes.
Because like like a lot of our best examples, like when you're watching Alien, you genuinely want Ripley to survive. When you're watching The Thing, how could you not fucking want Kurt Russell to survive?
Right.
They make like the best things actually, and like in Sinister, he's not he's he's making stupid decisions, but he has the best of intentions. He's trying to, help his family. He's trying to resurrect his career. He's not just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. He's genuinely, wanting to.
That's another trend in horror movies, especially, that
they're all cookie cutter asshole teenagers now that you don't give two shits about. No. Actually, what's happened? It's interesting. Horror movies of the 70s and 80s, it was always teenagers,
Yeah.
Now it's early 20-something hipsters. Have you noticed that?
Pretty
Lot
much.
they're very cookie cutter characters.
Pretty much. I mean, back in the day, the teenagers made sense because that was their target. Date night at the drive-in.
Slasher movies.
That audience was their target. So in order to connect with them, they had a lot of teenagers in early 20s and stuff like that. But I just fucking hate when it happens more often than anything in horror movies. The characters have to make the absolute worst possible decision in a situation. That is done solely for plot. There is no other reason to do it. Give me a good reason why they're doing this stupid shit.
I got one.
Okay.
Green Room. How fucking atmospheric was Green Room?
Green Room. I saw it at Walmart and I need to buy it.
It's Green Room. It's interesting that they ended up coming out, I think, the same year. Yeah, they were. Don't Breathe and Green Room actually have a lot in common.
They do.
They're not really. They take some like horror elements, but they're just an intense fucking movie where you do not breathe for the hour and 45 minutes you're watching the fucking movie.
Yeah, that was one thing you and I said about Don't Breathe was it's called Don't Breathe because you literally do not breathe the entire time.
It was one of the best titled movies ever, really.
Oh my God. Green Room. You're really doing yourself a disservice if you don't go see Green Room. Especially if you were a fan of Anton Yelchin at all. If you want to pay your respects, go watch Green Room. That was one. Not only was it a fantastic movie, that was a fantastic performance he gave.
Him and Patrick Stewart crush it in that movie.
Oh my God, Patrick Stewart. Jesus Christ.
One that you desperately need to watch because it is one of my absolute favorite movies is Seven. Seven is just dripping with atmosphere, dude.
Is that the What's in the Box?
What's in the Box? Actually, if I end up coming over to your house this weekend to record, we might have to watch Seven. You have to watch.
You still owe me Tremors.
We'll watch Tremors first, and then we'll watch Seven. How about that?
Okay.
Because Seven is maybe it's close to Pulp Fiction for the best movie of the 90s, like the whole fucking decade. I think it's that strong. You just have to watch it because it's just like we're talking about. It's taking horror elements and just making you fucking. It's really good about making characters endearing, and it's just atmospheric as shit.
I saw something somewhere, a clickbait headline somewhere or something. I guess the ending to Seven was an accident somehow, and wasn't actually part of the script or something. I didn't read it because I didn't read it because you told me to avoid finding out what's in the box.
You want to avoid any spoilers for Seven because the ending is so paramount to what the story is. But I vaguely know what you're talking about, but I myself haven't delved into it too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to look into that. But it's absolutely fucking fantastic movie. We're just about to get ready to wrap.
I want to watch it just to get the goddamn reference because I can't listen to any of my podcasts, watch any TV shows, or listen to the goddamn radio without hearing that reference.
That should tell you something because that movie came out in 1990. Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. That movie came out in 1995. And for that reference to still be
I did not realize it was 12 years old.
For that movie to be as widespread, for that quote to be as widespread, it's widespread for a reason. But yeah, we're just about wrapping up. I want to try to keep it roughly under an hour. So was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up for the day?
No, I just wish that the art of, the horror movie especially could come back. I miss the atmospheric, I want to feel stressed when I leave a horror movie, you know what I mean?
And yeah,
Don't Breathe, we were physically exhausted when we left that movie.
Green Room too. Green Room, you feel like you need to take a shower once you finish watching that.
Green Room was the small screen. We rented that and watched it on my TV, and we were physically exhausted after watching that movie. That's the way those movies should be. You are one of the few people I know that does the same thing that I do. When you're watching a movie, you pretty much get sucked in to the screen. You don't feel like you forget that you're sitting in a living room. And that's the way that it should be. I'm still waiting for that to happen with modern horror movies and stuff. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, the problem is there's a reason all these movies we're talking about that were good about this recently, they're all small films. Sinister was a small movie. Don't Breathe ended up making a lot of money, but it was a small movie in production-wise. Green Room was an incredibly small movie. It's not an art form anymore. Their movies are not seen as art the way they were in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. They are purely commercial. We could do an entire podcast series over this topic, but until they make money, we're unfortunately stuck the way they're going to spend money making Pirates of the Caribbean. They're going to spend money making Transformers before they actually invest in atmospheric horror movies. Unless they make money. That's just a sad state of the world. But yeah, if you would like to check us out more, please like and subscribe. That gets you all of our content. Ron is just about to be putting up a batch of more Dark Souls Let's Plays. If you're Bobby, you're welcome. We love you. We have social media links in the description below for our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Ron and I primarily focus on movies and TV news for here, but if you're curious about checking out some gaming articles, I actually have gaming news posts go up every Thursday over on rageselect.com, so if you want to follow me over there, you can. Most importantly, if you know anyone else that might also enjoy our content, we would greatly appreciate the share. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
Let's go watch Alien, dude.
All right. Alien, The Thing, and Seven.
It's like last week was the unofficial Doctor Who episode. This was the unofficial Alien episode.
Pretty much.
Because it was just like, Alien? Buzzword? Bye, guys.